Hey everybody, welcome. This is Nick, your co-host, joined with Dave, and we are so hyped to bring you an Omniverse Comics Guide and Geekable podcast crossover episode. We teamed up to bring you this exciting episode because there came a day unlike any other, where Dave and I found ourselves united in the midst of hosting a special guest superstar so big, no single podcaster could possibly hope to withstand alone. On this day, Earth's mightiest podcast was born. Dave, what's going on? How are you?
Dude, I'm amazing. Thank you. So much better for seeing you. Look at you.
No, that's awesome. I'm super amped for this episode.
Yeah, me
This
too.
is going to be a fun one. I'm glad you're here for it. Always have a great time with you on. Yeah, I mean, look, every now and again, you all know, everybody listening, we do our best to bring you guests who have somehow, to some capacity, contributed to the comic industry. But today we have a guest that is honestly up there with the greats. Not only is he the nicest guy, but you might also know his artwork from some awesome titles like Fear Agent, The Avengers, Punisher, Vengeance of the Moon Knight, Uncanny X-Force, Marvel's Infinity Event, Rage of Ultron, Spawn. The list goes on and on and on. Today we have Jerome Opeña to geek out with us on Geekable and Omniverse Comics Guide. Jerome, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our pleasure. Dave and I, it was almost like written in the stars, Jerome, because I was on with Dave.
Destiny.
It, Dave, right? Was it a week or two ago? We were
Yeah, it
on the
wasn't
show
long.
where
It wasn't long ago.
and I'm showing my pulls from Wicked Comic Con where I was, I met you for the second or third time now, Jerome, and I was flexing on some of the stuff that I got, and I was like, oh yeah, like I got pretty much like 85% of your Uncanny X-Force complete,
Oh,
and I was
nice.
like, I've been wanting this for so long. Dave raves about it. I only hear great things from people, and like I'm a huge fan of your work. Obviously, Rick Remender's like goated in the industry. I was like, I need to get this. How have I not done this yet? So we were talking about some of your work, and surely enough, like here you are on the show like a week or two later. Pretty just unbelievable. We wished it into existence, I guess you could
We
say, right?
summoned you.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's
Hopefully it's not a letdown.
Get out of
Huge
here.
oh.
intro.
Jerome, even if it was a letdown, we just like probably go back to some of your artwork and like Infinity, and we'd be like, oh yeah, like okay, all right, no, he's still valid. We're good. We're good. We're good.
He's just boring.
No, I mean it's honestly, Jerome, I had you, I know you got a million books signed, but I was on my way to Wicked Comic Con, and my brother and my mom were meeting me, and I was like, oh my god, wait, Jerome Opeña is here. Run back and get Rage of Ultron, which is like a book my brother and I like we really love that title, and you signed it. And it was really cool because I noticed in the book, I was just flipping through it while I had it open, like looking at your signature, smiling and stuff. And I'm like, there's a cool little backstory that they added to you in the book about like who you are and stuff, which I really appreciated because Dave, I'm sure you agree with this, and I think we spoke about it to some extent, but sometimes it's really great to put a character and like a true face to the artwork and the writing that we see. I mean, that's
It
like,
is, yeah.
yeah,
It's something that didn't used to happen in comics, especially back in the day. A lot of the time, we didn't even know what people look like. I only just recently found out what Mike Zeck looked like after 40 years. So
I don't
for
even know
real.
Maybe I should
that's
look
the
it
thing.
up.
I mean, it's nice to finally actually meet you and see you for real, because like, I guess you get this picture of people and how they look as well in your head. Because I always find that a lot of artists look like their art, but you
Hmm,
don't. So well done. I don't.
yeah.
That's good.
But
Yeah, I don't think
it's
you'd want to see a bunch of people in comics who look like me. So
you're one of the few people where it's like, I mean, I follow you on Instagram, and like in my own little world, in my own little pocket reality, I would have Jerome Opeña on like Marvel titles now or DC titles, whatever it is. I'll follow your art. You're just kind of like one of those people where you draw, I buy. I have a rule in comics. It's like, okay, this guy's writing, I gotta buy it. Like, it's gonna be good, even if it's a character I don't particularly like. You gotta do it. You're honestly one of those people, which is why again I had to track down those Uncanny X-Force issues because some of the artwork that you have in it, accompanied by huge names like, Phil Noto and Asad Ribic, like those are like big game names.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're on that level, and it's really cool seeing you do sketches and stuff and doing all that. And I have to jump in and ask, is there a reason that you don't do like interior pages as much anymore? Or if you could offer any insight into that, I would just personally love to know as a fan of your work.
Sure. Well, I think the last interior stuff I finished was Seven to Eternity. And after that, I had a kid born close to finishing Seven to Eternity. And then that kind of like, it cut into the schedule, having a newborn at the time. And then I had another one 8 months ago. So I think having a bunch of really young kids has kind of made doing interiors a bit more of a challenge now. So maybe when they're older, I'll hop back onto something. I'm fortunate that I can, take a break from that and maybe do some covers and stuff like that and still make a living. But yeah.
How quickly can you churn out an issue? Because like your work is so detailed that I'm assuming it takes more than a day to put a page together.
Yeah, I'm very slow, to begin with. So having 2 new kids makes me extra slow.
Yeah,
So
bet.
I think if on average I could probably do a finished page, fully inked, 2, maybe 3 days, and that's that's really hours. Just sitting at the table and not really eating, or it's a lot of work. I wish I was so
involved.
I'm sorry?
Is that because you get so focused? Do you get fully just drawn right into it?
Yeah, sometimes I forget to eat. My wife kind of gets on me about that, but yeah, I for sure I wish I was faster. That I hear about people like John Romita Jr. who can work on 2 books at once, which is amazing. Or Mark Bagley, they're just always, they do amazing work and they're on time, and I wish I could do that, but yeah, it's just I'm too slow. Yeah.
Could you sacrifice style to turn out 2 books a month though? Like I wouldn't want to see your style change.
Yeah,
not that much.
It would be very hard for me because it goes against kind of everything about how I'm, I guess, built as or how I approach my work. Like right now I'm working on a cover and I've already started inking it, and it's fully drawn out. But then I'm really unhappy with the face, so I'd already inked the face, so I might have to redraw the whole thing. I'm hoping I can salvage it, but I was kind of working on it this morning, and I don't know. That's kind of how it's really hard for me to kind of let go of. If there's something bugging me, I really have to try to fix it.
Yeah, you're your own worst critic as well, presumably, as any artist is. I know that.
Yeah, but all I see are the mistakes.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think that's a great segue into a question that I had for you, Jerome. Is there any work in the many years you've been in the industry that you're like, this is what I am like most proud of? Like this was my peak, I think, like for this time period. Anything like that stick out to you? Because you've dipped your toes into like a lot of different characters. And the one thing that I always loved about you is that, and teams as well, is that you always make the books have like a really kind of grounded, darkish tone that's more mature. Always loved that about your work. And so that's why when like you're one of the people, I mean, there's a few reasons I buy your work, but mostly it's because you have a grounded sense of style, and your action sequences, like how you draw hands and fire, so awesome. It's so particularly, yeah, I love that. So what is do you have anything where you're like, this was like what I love?
I'm sorry. Can you hear the beep, the pinging sound? That's my friend's next to me. I don't know how to turn this thing off. I tried to.
All good. You're in high demand over there, huh?
Sorry about that. I think. Let's see. I think maybe Uncanny X-Force and Seven to Eternity. I think I'm the most proud of. I think with Uncanny X-Force, I felt like. I think that's the book that I think I signed the most of, I think.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I get the nice compliment that people say the book got them back into reading comics, which is really flattering. Um, Sorry about that. My friend's texting about comics. Yeah.
Can we help? Can we answer
Yeah.
anything?
Hey, Jerome, tell them
Oh
we're
my
paying
God,
by
I'm
the
so
hour
sorry.
over here.
I should tell them to stop texting. And Seventh Eternity, it's just it was a personal story that Rick and I, we really wanted to tell, and we really wanted to do something that was our own, and so I think those two I'm the most proud of.
Yeah.
Do you get quite what gives you the most buzz, would you say? Something creator owned that you can look back on and see that you've created everything? Because I mean, even that, on top of the time it takes to draw the pages, they're fresh characters. So actually that must be a colossal amount of work. Plus they're yours, or at least shared with Rick. Do you think you get more of a buzz when you see a finished product when it's something that's for one of the big companies, or when it's something that you've done from scratch?
I think maybe when it's something I've done just from scratch, like you were saying, because Rick and I came up with the characters together, and we talked about the story, and not to say that I don't enjoy drawing superheroes, because I do, but yeah, I think just the creator owned stuff for sure. It even more than doing stuff for Marvel or DC. I
Yeah.
think yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
it feels a little more personal.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Is there more in the pipeline from you in terms of creator? Obviously, you've got your hands full with 2 kids, but
hmm
have you got any more planned? Not
Um,
kids.
no more kids. And then, I really apologize for all these texts.
Don't worry.
Let me try to. I can also tell them to stop texting me. Nothing at the moment. Uh, yeah, nothing really at the moment. Just trying to focus on doing some covers, and I also took some commissions for the first time.
Oh,
All
nice.
right.
Yeah, so just kind of doing stuff that doesn't really isn't really deadline heavy at the moment. I think that's kind of hard with all the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you've got 2 kids as well, and you're trying to draw, what's a typical day like for you?
I have 3 kids.
3?
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of kids, man. Yeah, it's
Wow.
definitely not. I think working right now, it's not ideal, at least for me, schedule wise,
Yeah.
because yeah, you got a 3-year-old. I wake up in the morning and I bring him to school, and then we have the baby, and so if my wife, we both work full time, so we kind of trade off. I'll take care of the baby while she's working, and then it's my turn. And if she needs to go into work for a meeting or something like that, then uh, I take care of the baby, and we have like a nanny share for two days a week, which
Right.
helps a lot. But yeah, it's definitely, it's really hard to get into any sort of uh, groove of work,
Yeah, I
um,
bet.
because I'll start to get into it, then all of a sudden I have to stop. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think that's why doing interiors at the moment probably isn't the best idea.
Because is that a day job on top of it? I don't want to pry, but like, is that a day job on top of drawing comics,
Oh
or is
no,
that
comics is just that's all. That's my full
Oh, wow.
time gig.
cool? Oh, that's cool. It's just sometimes I do hear about some creators and possibly writers and artists who do both, and you're thinking like, how
Yeah,
are you doing this?
I really don't. Yeah, I don't know. That's
I
I
know.
don't advise it.
no.
I know. That's
Yeah,
for sure. I
yeah.
like to hear that you enjoy your creator owned stuff. And something that I had to ask as well is, you work so well with Rick Remender. Is there anything that makes you guys so compatible that you have just done an overwhelming amount of work with, in terms of like looking at a list of your work, right? Just boom, 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 Rick Remender, Rick Remender, Rick Remender.
Yeah.
Is it just, do you guys just like, work well? What is it that creates the magic there?
Yeah, I think yeah, we do work well together. I think the thing that I really enjoy working with Rick is I think he's an artist as well, so he gives me a lot of freedom in that regard. He'll have a full script, but it's not. He gives me leeway to add a panel or change things, or just whatever I feel like will work better for for the job, then he lets me do it. So it's very collaborative in that regard. But yeah, and we're just friends on top of that too. So we've known each other for so long. So yeah.
Did you meet through comics?
Yeah, actually, we were both living in San Francisco at the time, and I got an email from one of his studio mates at the time, and I'd done this comic for San Diego, just like a little mini comic that I was selling and passing around, and Rick and his studio mate, they really liked it, and so he just emailed me out of the blue and said, "Hey, what are you doing? You know, I share a studio with a guy who's a writer, and he loves your work, and yeah, that's just kind of how it happened. So thanks to Chris Carmen, it was his studio mate's name that kind of got us hooked us up. Yeah.
So looking back then at the start, sorry, I'm really curious because that must be really early in your career. And looking back at the start, how did you get into comics yourself? It sounds like you're a big fan.
You mean working in comics or just in general?
Just like as a fan, like because clearly like you're still chatting about comics and you're working on comics.
Yeah.
It's like your life.
People texting. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. No, it's cool. That's the thing. It's the most relatable thing because you do meet some creators who they don't read much still, or they don't have time to read much more because they're creating. But you're clearly still into the medium. So what got you into comics?
When I was a kid, we had family friends that when they moved away, they gave their whole comic book collection to us.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had my older brother got this big collected. It was just all black and white artwork too for the collected editions of. He got Superman and I got Batman, and then they also just gave us a bunch of. There's some old Kirby X-Men. There's some, Ulysses Bloodstone, just like really just very
wow,
varied amount of books, and that's how I really got into comics. Yeah.
And was that when you were in because I know you, I forget, I think reading you started in Taiwan, then went to the Philippines, then went to San Fran. Was that when you were abroad you got these comics?
Yeah, this is when I was a kid in Taiwan. Yeah. And I think that's why.
Crazy.
Yeah, and this was a long ass time ago, so the world wasn't as glable as it is now.
That's like, yeah. I mean, that must have been like some of the only comics like in Taiwan. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that's a stretch to say, right? Like,
yeah, and those are the comics that I think I really treasured them because getting new comics was we could only get comics every time we came to the US every other summer. That was the only time we could get new ones. So the ones that I grew up with, I looked at them so many times and poured through the artwork and all of that. So yeah, I wish I still had them now. When my family moved, those didn't come with us, unfortunately. So yeah.
It sounds like you're well traveled as well. I bet it sounds like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're really well traveled as well. Do you I don't know about you, I do this a lot. You probably do the same, Nick, but when you go somewhere and you travel around the world, is one of the first things you do is try and seek out a comic shop?
I do. Like I was saying, when I was in the UK, I was looking for comic book stores and
that's cool.
A comic book store or a record store, like but two of the places I like to
neat.
Try to find. Yeah, it was in London because it was when I was there for Thought Bubble. They brought us. There's this really nice comic book store that the people who brought us over owned, and so that that was really.
Oh wow!
That's neat. So when did you decide you were like, I think art is what I want to do? Like, when was that? Like, this is what I'm going to take seriously. When was that for you?
I think maybe as a kid, I always kind of had the desire for it. But my dad's he's a scientist, plant geneticist. So
wow, I
think he always kind of. I didn't think art would be like a realistic job for me, even though my mom was always, she was very supportive, but yeah, it wasn't until I think I graduated from high school, and I tried going to a regular university, and I had a really hard time there, and so my mom suggested trying art school, and thought I tried for a semester or two, and then I ended up going there for 4 years. So
Oh.
yeah, and then
Wow.
from there I thought, okay, maybe I can make a living doing something art related. I wasn't sure it was going to be comics, but I wanted to do something creative.
Now in art school, were you like I want to ask this in a way where you're not gonna like be like, oh, but were your professors like, you're really good for your class? Are you like, you should take this seriously?
I think early on, I for sure was. I always felt like I had a bit of a. There were people who were much better than me, but I think maybe towards the end of college, when I was really taking it. I think once I really started taking it seriously, then I saw a dramatic improvement in my work, and I think after that, that's when I really started having some confidence that I could do something creative
Wow.
for a living. Yeah.
Wow.
It's strange to imagine for most of us as well, that who look at creators who are, they're on like the pinnacle of what we think comic artists are capable of. Because I mean, you're so renowned now and so respected for what you do. But it's odd then to look and think like you might have some doubt over what you do, or you're looking at what you do and going, it's just not good enough. Like I can't imagine. I'd love to be able to draw like you.
Yeah, I still have doubts. It's all, anytime I have a new project, I'm always nervous about it. I'm always thinking, gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this. It's too much. It's something that I struggle with a lot, and really have to kind of get out of my own head. And it takes me a while to sort of get comfortable with a new project. And then once I feel a little more comfortable, then that's when I feel a little more confident. But it's for sure, starting a new project is always pretty nerve-wracking, I think, for me.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into another question I have for you, is like confidence and ability. I read that you sometimes go back to the silent issue of GI Joe and GI Joe number 21 for like inspiration and to really
Mhm.
ground yourself. Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
right?
always.
We already liked you a lot, Jerome. We already liked you, like all the right things are just like, we all really live the same life sometimes. I swear to God, it doesn't matter where you're from or who we are. But such a great issue. Why do you go back to that one? Like, what is it that you just like got to go back, ground myself? Like, what is it about that?
It's just perfect. Yeah, it's just storytelling, right? You're really trying to tell a story visual. If when you're the artist, you're trying to tell it visually. So I think it's the storytelling aspect of that book that for me is really inspiring and humbling, because I just kind of look at it, I'm like, God, man, it's so perfect. I don't I aspire to do something as great as that.
Originally, didn't it have a script, but Larry Hama decided to not use it? Is that correct?
I think it was he had to turn around the issue really quick or something like that. And
Yeah.
so he laid out he broke the book. He did the layouts. He did them all in 3 days. And this was in the
Wow.
80s, so then
It's
they had to
insane.
FedEx the pages to
Oh God,
Steve
yeah.
Leialoha, who was living in he's in the Bay Area in California. So yeah, it he really turned it around super quick. And I think I want don't quote me on it, but I kind of feel like it was silent because of maybe time constraints, but I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
I think you're
sure.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just amazing though. Yeah.
it's a hell of a piece. Even though a lot of people have done silent issues since, and there've been some really, really good ones. Like I mean, the one that springs to mind is that Batman and Robin issue, the Requiem time that deals with what happens to Robin after Batman Incorporated. I don't know
Yep.
if you're familiar. So good. But it's funny how hard when you see some artists try and do it, you realize that just how tough that is to do it without words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's quite the challenge. So it's
Mhm.
just funny how that one worked out. But it's an amazing issue.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you a fan of the
It's-
whole run as well, the
I'm
GI
sorry.
Joe, or is it just that issue that you like as well, or do you like GI Joe in general?
I love GI Joe in general. Yeah, that was one of the books that I really grew up loving.
That's
Just
cool.
Yeah, it was GI Joe and Batman. I think were two of like my and like X-Men as well. I think those three were
That's
some of
solid.
my
Yeah.
favorite titles. Yeah.
There's some great GI Joe stuff from IDW. I don't know if you've read that.
I haven't, no, but I've heard good stuff, good things about him. Yeah.
So good. Yeah. If you do ever want to head back into GI Joe and you're thinking like they won't recapture that magic from the 80s, they don't try to. It's its own thing, and it's well worth a read. Like it's so good. So
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's worth keeping an eye out for.
Did they did IDW did they do like a book about Chuckles?
Yeah, that's the best, probably the best storyline.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. I've heard great things about it, but I haven't been able to check it out yet. Yeah.
They have collected just the Chuckles stuff in a hardcover. I don't know if are you more of a single issues guy or a collected editions guy?
I think for modern comics, I don't mind doing collected things, but I think with stuff that I grew up reading, if I can get the single issues and the newsprint, like we were saying, like I was saying earlier, I just love comics and newsprint. I kind of wish comics would go back to that. Yeah,
it's a beautiful look. It's funny when you go back and compare something like Daredevil Born Again in newsprint to how it looks on that glossy paper. You're just it's not the same.
Yeah,
right. I don't want to say it loses the magic, but it's just like I don't know. There's something about it. I know.
I think there's something about the texture of newsprint that kind of makes it gives it a really, I don't know what word to describe to the artwork, but yeah, something about the artwork on newsprint kind of gives it a cool look. Yeah, and it just feels like comics. Maybe it's because that's what I grew up reading, and the smell of it too.
Right.
I was gonna say the smell.
I know. I was gonna say that too.
Yeah.
The smell is something else. Are you like? I mean, it's such a different like. Now everything is with the movies and all of that, and a lot of people say that a lot of people are for it, a lot of people are against it. Are you like into the Marvel movies, DC movies, anything like that? Like how are you in terms of like today's world with that kind of pop culture stuff? Are you into it?
Sure. Yeah. I love them. Yeah. The Marvel movies have been great. I think my favorite's Winter Soldier. It's probably my favorite one. Yeah.
Such a good one.
So good.
Such a good one.
Yeah. I haven't been able to check out any like the new Guardians movie yet. It's been hard to get to movie theaters. But I do want to check out that Flash movie. Yeah, that movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So that movie's getting a lot of hype. Like
it is. Yeah.
Will Smith and like Tom Cruise and like Jaden Smith and like all these like celebrity like and influencers are like saying it's like really good, and it got like the highest audience test score since The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger.
Wow.
What?
The movies. I'm not a DC guy. Dave knows this. Jerome, I'm not like the biggest. I've been collecting Batman for like a long time. New 52 up now, but DC's like not my thing. But I'm like, I think this movie's actually going to be like pretty good. Like
yeah. And I think James Gunn tweeted something about that. It's the best superhero movie he's ever seen. Yeah. So
wow.
And maybe it's because he's the new head of DC film. DC movies
might have something to do with that.
It could also be just it's an amazing movie too. So
yeah.
Saying that, you're looking forward to the. Sorry, dude.
Oh, no.
I was just going to ask if you're looking forward to James Gunn's interpretations of the DC stuff, or if there's anyone in particular that you're looking forward to.
I'm hoping he makes a Plastic Man movie.
Oh my god, that would be so good.
It would be the most. I think that character, he would be amazing. Yeah, making a Plastic Man movie.
James Gunn could pull it off too.
Oh yeah. That's like my hope is he'll do a Plastic Man. But I know he's. I'm really looking forward to his Superman movie that he's.
Yeah. We're due for a good Superman movie. I've never had one in like my lifetime, really. A lot of people might like hate me for that, but like a definitive like Superman, like I'm like I really want that, and like I think he'll deliver. Like it goes back to like I want to leave the theater after seeing Superman like feeling like a better person about myself. Like that, I think that's like how I need to. And like instead, like the past few renditions, I've gotten like a Superman who like wonders why he even bothers anymore.
Yeah.
I'm missing the magic here. Like I don't understand. Come on.
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, I for sure the most recent ones have it didn't feel like Superman to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I grew up
Yeah.
on Superman too, so I loved it. And
yeah.
Neil before I was going to change my name to Neil before Zard.
Oh, really? I did love Super. The first two are great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Christopher Reeve. Yeah, it's perfect Superman.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm a big like True Detective fan. I don't know if you guys have seen that show, but
Sure, yeah.
yeah, when James Gunn was coming out
Really?
with the slate, he's talking about how the Green Lantern HBO show is going to be like True Detective meets DC Universe, and
Really?
it's going to be
Oh,
like Hal Jordan and I forget
Isn't it
what's
John
the
Stewart?
thank you. Yes, and Jon Stewart, and it's just going to be like a True Detective
that's awesome.
style. Yeah, and I'm like, see, like this is like inject that into my veins, right? Like
Yeah.
give that to me right now.
Yeah.
Like how do I get like see I feel like that's James Gunn is like stretching new muscles in the like superhero like cinematic world, and like
Yeah.
that's cool stuff. Like when people come to me, like I'll defend till the day I die. Like I love the Marvel movies. Like I'll defend. But when people come to me and they're like it's a little formulaic, sometimes I get what they mean. Sometimes I
Yeah,
do. Sometimes I get what they mean.
for sure.
But this, I mean, James Gunn's like, yeah, we're gonna do like The Authority, and I'm like, I don't even know who that is, and he's like,
That's
we're gonna
gonna
do
be
Swamp
cool.
Thing, yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, he's saying all these like outrageous ideas, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is something to be excited about. Like, I'm on board. Like,
Yeah.
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 When I saw the Authority in the list, I lost my mind. It was like, oh, okay, interesting. Yeah. The Authority. Brown
yeah,
bag.
And I think knowing that he's for the Superman movie, he's referencing things like All-Star Superman. It makes me very,
yeah,
very,
green
very
flags,
excited. Yeah, yeah, it's all good
totally.
stuff. Yeah, he's amazing. I don't know if you guys. I loved Peacemaker. Did you all check that out?
Yes.
That show out?
Oh god, that
So
was
great.
so wrong.
So
So
Yeah.
great.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
yeah.
So he always has a really interesting take on things, and I think he has good taste too in the books that he's sort of, I think, referencing, especially for whatever project he's working on. So yeah.
Speaking of, what are the projects that you look back on and you most look out for? Because it sounds like you like some of that old school stuff. So
Hmm.
which characters do you most look out for when you're in the pull boxes, in the long boxes in comic shops?
Let's see. I don't know. Honestly, that's a good question. You caught me there. I'm trying to think. I think anything that looks, if it looks like an old comic, I'm have much more interest in that. Like
Yeah.
some of my favorite art is. Have you guys ever looked at Atari Force? Have you guys read that?
No, never actually
Oh,
read it. Was what
It's
the original, the Epic comic series, was it?
it
No,
was
DC.
for a DC book, yeah. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Oh
Uh,
my god, I didn't
wow.
realize.
That's obscure.
if
Yeah.
you can find that in the pull box, or just like flipping through, or a friend of mine, he just was able to. I think he bought him on eBay. Like I think the whole set.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the art in there is amazing. Yeah, he's one of my favorite artists. Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah, for sure. I'd highly recommend anything by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. But Atari
Even
Force.
Mobius was intimidated by him,
Oh
wasn't he?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I heard that.
That's
Famously,
crazy.
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
did you hear that story
Yeah,
about?
apparently it is true. Yeah, that he
Yeah,
saw that
that's what
piece
I
on
heard.
the wall, and
Yeah,
he
it
just
was
went.
like,
So he used his models, no, and the editor went, no, and he goes, and he swore about it.
yeah, he's like, son of a bitch. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So even Mobius could recognize how great.
Damn. Yo, if
Yeah,
Mobius says that, that guy's legit then.
Yeah,
Wow. I gotta check it out. I gotta
yeah.
check that out. Yeah,
who's
I
your intimidating uh comic artist that you look at, and maybe don't call them that, but
Me?
yeah,
Oh, Frank Whiteley. He's the contemporary artist.
yes,
He's my absolute favorite. Yeah,
wow.
he's amazing. Yeah, I just everything he does is just so considered, and he's thinking about. He's just not doing it to do it. Everything is very well considered and thought out, and And on top of that, he just draws beautifully. Yeah, amazing artist.
Have you seen the documentary about him? I think it's on YouTube.
Yep, I watch it once a year.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah, I watch it once a year just to kind of. There's something
Wow.
about it, just seeing his everyday routine, and just watching him work in the studio. And he sometimes sleeps in the studio, and
Yeah.
he knows the exact amount of Akira books, like
That's right.
how many to pile up to make a good pillow. So yeah, it's just so cool. It just
Wow.
it's just
It's worth it.
That's
If you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch.
Mhm.
Dude, so yeah, I mean, I can understand you watching it once a year, because it is. I mean, even just watching him work on We3 and All Star
Yeah.
Superman, you see his process, and
Yeah.
that's
And-
intimidating. I can understand.
that whole page in We3 with all the security camera footage.
Yes, yeah,
I love that he had all of the little thing, like they were in like a raisin box or something like that. He had them all, and then he was like
just
showing
laying
it,
out the page.
organizing them. Yeah, it was
Wow.
just little stuff like that. I think I love seeing how other artists work, and especially someone whom I admire so much. That it's just really, really cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's really neat. And some of the things we were talking about, like before we started recording, you were like looking at, I was showing some of the comics I got when I met you. One of the things that I had in my hand, and you were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool," was like, it seemed like everything you're saying, I had a feeling like you're into like the some of the stuff, like the path less traveled type of comics and influence there. But like one of the things that I got too at Comic-Con was this
Oh
book.
wow! Yeah,
And you
nice.
Wow.
Yeah, and you pointed to it, and you were
Mhm.
like, "Dude, that's really awesome." And I was like, "Oh my God, Jerome Opeña respects me." Like, whoa. And but I was also like, okay, he's into like the like weirder like, uh, and that's really cool because in my, not that I've met many people of your artistic caliber, but there seems to be a common thread, Jerome, that the more like obscure and niche like stuff that like someone like yourself is into, the more creative it is. And I can see that in your work a little, because like how you draw things, you're definitely someone who thinks outside of the box. And I can tell, just looking by, some of the names that you're saying, and some of them I look forward to like looking into myself. But is it just kind of like steering away from the mainstream stuff sometimes, that you really like find yourself and you're like, this is the type of artist that I hope to be, and I hope to create these types of characters? Because you have a lot of characters under your belt that I don't know how, into like comics coming out like today you are, but they're still around and pretty prevalent in the titles. That's pretty cool. Is that something that you take note of? Are you following any of the characters that you've made and seeing where they go?
Honestly, it's modern comics. I think I admire a lot of the creators and the artists, and I love looking at their work. But I think when I go look for comics now or buy comics, it's always something really old, and I don't know if it's what it is. Maybe just to me that they feel more like comics than modern ones. I don't know. I don't really know how to really verbalize it, but I've talked about it with my friends, and I think there's also something about newsprint. Again, I think comics, to me, the experience wasn't just visual. There is there's an olfactory thing to it too, and the texture of the newsprint. Yeah. So I think the old comics is really what I tend to gravitate towards. And I think as far as characters, I don't know. I've always kind of liked. Of course, I like Batman and Daredevil, all the cool stuff. But one of the characters I loved growing up was Star Fox. I don't know why.
Oh,
And
that's
now
so
he's
crazy.
kind of, people kind of he's. I think his powers are problematic by today's standards, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, which I agree with.
Yeah, which I agree with.
Yeah.
He's Harry Styles is portraying him in the the Eternals. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, they're gonna Star Fox, all right.
Yeah.
And actually, Rage of Ultron, Rick put
Yeah.
Star Fox in there just for me.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah, he's like,
Oh.
he said, "What do you want to draw?" I was like, "Star Fox." He's like, "All right, put some Star Fox in there for you."
Why
Yeah,
Star Fox though?
yeah.
What is it about him?
I don't know. As a kid, I just thought he looked cool,
Yeah.
and then and I just had this weird. One of the things that I talk about with my friends is like, if I could do like a buddy comic. I think my dream would be a buddy adventure between Star Fox and Jack of Hearts. I don't know why.
Yo, that's
Jack
so
of Hearts is
sick.
another character. I don't know why. I had a couple of his comics growing up, and I just thought he looked really cool. And so I think he's they're characters that most people probably don't really
You love
like.
G.I. Joe, you love Plastic Man,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Wow.
protect Jerome Opeña at all costs, guys.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
listening, protect him at all costs. What if you were to come back, Jerome, right now? I mean, you've said Batman a few times now. If you were to come back to, Marvel and DC rolled out the red carpet for you, and they're like, Jerome Opeña, what do you wanna work on? Where would you go for Marvel, and where would you go for DC?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I think Marvel. Uh, I've never done a Spider-Man book, and I love Spider-Man, so maybe Spider-Man. But then you
Yeah.
just have to draw buildings.
True.
Which you
And
have
a
to do
lot of webs.
perspective and webs. But I love Spider-Man, so maybe something like Spider-Man.
That's neat.
Or if they'll let me do a Star Fox and Jack of Hearts buddy comedy adventure book,
Oh, that would
I
be
do that.
Be well up for that.
oh
I
man.
don't know what it would be, but yeah, just the two of them. Kind of had the idea it would take place in the 80s too. So then they encounter Spider-Man and it's symbiote Spider-Man and
Yeah.
Who's writing?
Anyone who will write that book for me.
I know.
Chip
I know.
Zdarsky would be amazing. He I think he'd be perfect for
He'd be
something.
perfect. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Oh
Yeah,
my
that would be
gosh.
perfect.
All
That's a
right.
good shout.
Yeah,
That's
he's great. So yeah.
cool.
And DC, I would love to do Batman.
Yeah.
But if I can't do Batman, then Plastic Man. For sure, I love Plastic Man. So if they let me do Plastic Man, that I'd be happy doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you're going to get your kids into some of this stuff? Because I was thinking about that Justice League action series as well. It features Plastic Man, and I love the
Mhm.
portrayal of him in that animated
Mhm.
series.
Yeah.
Have you already tried getting your kid? Is it too early? Do you think?
Well,
Getting your kids into
my 3-year-old's he's obsessed with Spider-Man at the moment. He made us buy
Good
him
lad.
a Spider-Man costume last night, and he was mad
No
he couldn't
way.
wear it this morning.
That's what I
because
was doing. I was wearing it to like school and stuff. Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. My parents had to wait until I was like asleep, and my brother had a Batman one. And they would like wait till we were sleeping, and they'd like peel it off of us and like wash it, and then because like it was like outrageous, but we did that for like a little phase, and
That's
like
awesome.
that's I love hearing that. I love hearing that stuff. That reminds me
Yeah.
of me. That's so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really, and I have my older son, he's 11. He's more into manga at the moment. So
Oh,
I
nice.
think he's into Attack on Titan, and
Right.
he really loves One Piece as well.
Oh, I've never
Um,
read One Piece.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, if there's the manga, it's just like I don't know how many hundreds of volumes there are. It's been going on, I think, for more than 20 years. It
Dang.
might be the longest running. I think it might be the longest running manga ever, but I'm not. Don't quote me on that. But
I mean, that's a long time. I've never gotten into manga. Like people always ask me, like, do you dabble? Are you a fan? I've never really gotten into it. I'd love to though, but most of it's just I would say like not lack of interest, but I'll get there. And
yeah,
yeah, I'll get there. That's cool that he's starting that. I mean, I can't even hold a conversation in it. Like I don't know like anything about it. It's just like a new world I need to explore one day. Are you into that at all, Dave?
I would recommend this,
Oh,
which is The Girl from the Other Side, which is a
All right.
really quite sweet series.
nice.
And it's pretty much all ages, I'd say,
Love
if you're
that
looking for something
cover.
like that, but very peaceful and kind of serene with a little bit of a mystery. On the other hand, not for 11-year-olds, I would recommend Gunn,
Oh,
which
cool. Okay.
Dark Horse have been releasing over these 12 volumes. The 12th one's on its
Yeah.
way out soon, and they're really
Nice.
chunky, but
Yeah, they
not
are.
for kids. Not for kids at all. There's probably loads of other stuff where people just go, "Oh, that's really obvious choices," but like, they're the ones that I've managed to find that I know I've liked. But
Yeah.
both worth a look. They're both very entertaining in vastly different ways.
Yeah.
That is my God, thank you so much. I'll DM you about that. We'll talk. We'll
Cool.
connect. My people will talk to your people. That's what we'll do. We'll go from there.
Deal.
That's awesome. Jerome, one of the things we like to do on this show before we close out is just like a little quick pop culture news segment, where we talk about some stuff that's currently ongoing. One of the big things today, or last night officially as we record this, it's June 2nd. Today's like the first official big release of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah, you're gonna make an effort to see that maybe with the kids.
I would like to. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the
Sure.
first one?
I did. I loved it. I loved the first one, so I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to this to the new one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've only been there's only one. My one friend went to see it, and he was really excited, and he came away very disappointed. So I'm like,
Oh.
oh no, that's hard to hear. I'm hoping that I haven't seen it yet, so I'd like to see it for myself. I'm hoping I'll like it.
Totally. Yeah.
But it just seems like it's getting just nothing but praise.
Yeah,
and
your
Yeah.
friend is the only person I think I've heard like a negative review from.
That's not
me.
a friend. That's not a friend. You know what you need to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I mean,
I was surprised. Yeah.
no, I really want to see that. Dave, are you into those at all? The animated Spider? Did you see the last one?
I must admit, it's the one Marvel film I'm looking forward to now.
Oh, nice.
And
Yeah.
partly because, well,
Yeah.
I want to see Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly keeps appearing in the trailers, and I'm like, Ben Reilly's in the trailer. So, like, that's the thing about these is they can literally throw anyone in.
Mm.
Exactly.
So I'm really looking forward to even just the little cameos and references.
Yeah.
Plus Spider-Man
Yeah.
2099. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir, and like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
done
It's just
really
cool.
well.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely cool. Haley Steinfeld kills it as Spider-Gwen. I don't know. It's just
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool stuff like that. Yeah. So that's cool. You're more into the Marvel movies than I feel like most creators. Some creators I feel like just like are like I don't even know what is it just because you have kids, or are you like genuinely like into that?
No, I'm just genuinely into them. Yeah, I enjoy
Yeah.
them. Yeah, they're fun. You know, some more so than others. I think the more recent Marvel movies I haven't enjoyed as much as I think prior to or after post Endgame. I think I like Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think
I
most of the other movies I haven't really enjoyed them as much.
Yeah,
I've been the
yeah.
same.
Ant-Man was a little weak. Guardians, though, that movie I thoroughly enjoyed. You should
Okay, cool.
try to, yeah, definitely make an
Yeah.
effort if you can. That one's you'll walk away pretty happy with that, I would say.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
James
cool.
Gunn too. So yeah.
And it's James
I'll
Gunn,
watch-
right?
I'll
Yeah.
watch anything he does.
Yeah,
so.
right. That's awesome. Are you into like music at all? Because one of the I don't know if you're into like rap or anything like that, but for the Spider-Verse movie that came out today, Metro Boomin, who's like a pretty famous music producer, dropped like an album, a Spider-Man album, which I was like, oh my God, like I love going to like clubs on the weekend. Like I love like music, like Future and like Lil Uzi and like 21 Savage, Drake. Like he dropped an album with like all of them rapping about like Spider-Man
Oh
and
wow.
stuff. And I'm like, this is like crazy. Like, are you into that at all? Like, I need someone to talk to about this because it's like such a big deal for me. I'm like, this is like two worlds of mine like colliding, like my social life and like my my geek life. It's like crazy. Like,
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet. I'd like to check it out. I think some of the artists you listed. I think of the ones you did list, I think I'm most familiar with is Drake.
okay, Drake.
I know like
yeah.
21 Savage and all them, but yeah, I'll have to check it out. Is it?
Yeah,
is
check it out.
on
Yeah,
Spotify or can
yeah,
I
it's
find it on
it's
there?
on like everywhere, like Spotify, Apple Music. I don't know if Drake's on the album. I actually don't think he is, but that'd be sick if he was. But I think they're trying to ride off of like the Post Malone, Sway Lee,
Mm.
like that Sunflower song that came out with the first one, because that was like a hit, and I think they're like trying to double down on that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool though. That's that's I'm just going to see Drake in July actually. I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh wow.
He's touring in Boston, and I was like, oh my god, like he never comes around anymore. It's kind of like there's two like people that I'll always try to like see. Like I'll always try to see creators. Like when you were on the list for Wicked Comic Con and Lionel you like you guys were both there. I was like, yeah, like I gotta show face. Like I gotta pull up. Like there's no way I don't miss it. Like, and then it's kind of the same thing with performers too. Like I love that as well. And have you? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Lionel Yu was there. Are you guys tight at all? Like I know he's also like, I think he's Filipino, correct, as well?
Yeah. That was the first time I'd ever met him. Because I think we have the same art rep. But he lives in the Philippines, so I think
right.
Getting to conventions, I think it's much more of a haul for him. So it was the first time I'd met him in person. I talked to him on the phone, I think once before that, and he seems like a really nice guy. So it was nice to finally meet him in person.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I wasn't sure if that was coincidence or planned or not. That's you guys were right next to each other. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Is there anyone else you'd like to meet that you haven't met in terms of
creators? I would love to meet Frank Whiteley. I've never met him. I know people who are friends with him, but I've never had the opportunity to meet him. I'd love to meet Grant Morrison. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah.
That would probably be intimidating as well in some way.
Yeah, I think it's just one of I wouldn't know what to say. I think people, artists or creators that I admire, I just don't know what to say most of the time outside of you're amazing. Like a friend of mine, who works at Marvel, he's in charge of when Marvel was still doing the movie premieres here in New York. He is in charge of seating and organizing the whole thing. When the first Avengers movie came out, he sat me next to someone, and when that person sat down, I was like, "Oh man, is that Walt Simonson?"
No.
Yeah, it was kind of dark, and I just said, "He looks like Walt Simonson." And then when Thor first appears on screen, the guy was like, he's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "It's Walt Simonson! Oh my god!" And like, I didn't know what to say. Like my friend said, "You talk to Walt?" I was like, I didn't know what to say, so I just kind of.
That's unreal.
No way.
Yeah. So I think I'm not really good with meeting people I admire, because I did get to meet George Perez, but
that's a good one. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's really nice that you got to meet him.
My friend sat me next to him at the Infinity War, I think it was. Yeah, Infinity War. Yeah,
good friend to have. Keep that one.
I know, huh? I was thinking
that's great. He's a great friend for sure. And so I got to talk to him and get to know him a little bit. And
oh my god,
my wife was like, they got to know him, and he was great. Really, really nice man. And I didn't want to fanboy out too much, asking him all these questions about, Teen Titans and all that stuff. So I just kind of tried to keep
you played it cool. Yeah,
I tried. Because I'm sure he's been asked all these questions thousands of times. So
totally. Sounds like he loves it though. Anyway, he always did love it.
Yeah.
He's always pretty good with the fan base by the sound of it.
Yeah. It's just very nice, friendly. Yeah. He was a very nice, friendly man. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jerome, I that's pretty much everything that we wanted to talk to you about. Dave, if you don't have anything more, we'll bring this episode to a close here, I think.
I feel like we should let you go. You've got plenty of messages to answer.
I'm so sorry about that. I wanted to apologize to both of you.
Oh my god, no, you're
before we got off all these binging, yeah.
You could have a highway going on in the background, and I think we'd still try to make it work for you here. So no,
yeah, definitely.
Don't worry about that. No, Jerome, pleasure getting to meet you even further. Honestly, if for everybody, I gave a long list of titles that Jerome's worked on in the past. Everybody should definitely go check that out. Just overall amazing artist, so articulate with his style, and everyone should definitely go check him out on Instagram too. Go follow him at Jerome Opeña. where he's posting pretty regularly on some of the, various characters that he's drawing in the moment. Definitely someone to keep your eye on out for, because hopefully he comes back with a vengeance one day and answers our prayers, our comic book prayers, and is on interior pages.
And releases that detective series with Jack of Hearts and
oh yeah, Jack of Hearts and Star Fox.
Yeah,
Star
Chip
Fox.
Zdarsky. Hopefully
Chip,
you're
if you're
listening.
listening,
Come on,
Chip.
Chip. Come on. You know you need it.
Please.
Yeah, really. But Jerome, it's been a pleasure. Truly, thank you so much for coming on the show, and hopefully we have you back one day again. Been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a
Thank you.
great time. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.